Hey guys, welcome back. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Of course, if this is your first time checking out this show, please go click that like button on our Facebook page. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. It would really mean a lot. And like I said, if you have any questions for my guest that I'm going to be introducing here very shortly, please comment down below. I know that there's a lot of questions for a lot of people in regards to this whole virus, and we're going to try to answer as many as we can live on the show. I know we got a few questions going on right now, but I'm going to first introduce my lovely guest. Please welcome my sister, Tuesday Hill, to the show. How you doing, sweetheart?
I'm fine.
That's great. First off, I wanted to say a huge thank you for taking in the time to talk with me about this whole situation, because obviously there's a lot of people out here that are scared. The whole country, the whole world is really terrified right now. And
They should be.
so and of course we're going to definitely dive into this conversation with you. But of course I just want people to see a face and see a person that has gotten through it, went through the 7 rings of hell and came out still pistons firing and still ready to fight and still live. I think that people keep seeing that the virus only they only see death tolls, they only see death numbers, they don't see people surviving it.
Exactly.
So
And that's what made me go ahead and tell my story, because at the time I was one of probably the first 15 people in St. Louis that was diagnosed. And I literally watched the news and the news apps where they were saying we have someone in their 40s that's been diagnosed in St. Louis County, and I knew that it was me. And of course, a few hours later, they called and told me my test was positive. And so, at the time that I caught the virus, which was only like 3 weeks ago, like 3 weeks ago when I was diagnosed, um, everybody, it seemed like every story was someone dying.
mhm,
Nobody had recovered. And I think people had recovered, but they didn't want the stigma of I have COVID. And so no one wanted to say that they had it, because
right,
I didn't want to say that I had it, because it's embarrassing. Everybody was making fun, everybody was making jokes and memes, and it wasn't funny because I was laying here dying when even my own friends and family and Facebook friends were making jokes about it. And I felt like people need to understand that, number one, it shouldn't be a stigma, because this is not something that we did to ourselves. I'm an essential worker. I work in the banking industry.
mhm,
And so my job is still going, because you all want your money. You all
right,
want the cash checks, you know, and so we still have to go to work. And so I caught the virus. I feel like I caught it from a coworker, that came to work sick for 6 days. And I spoke up about this person being sick the first day that they came, and they were allowed to continue to come to work. And their desk is close to mine. So it wasn't anything that I did, to catch this virus. And I think the stigma needs to come off of it. And I think it will, as more of us have family members and friends that catch this virus, because they will catch it if they don't stay home.
right, right. And the thing is, obviously the whole stay at home mandate that's been implemented throughout the country obviously it's definitely made for a reason, because it is no joke.
No,
I do have some people that of course I have some questions for you. James on YouTube just asked, what comes first, the fever, or like what are the symptoms that you saw first before you went and got tested?
okay, with me, excuse me,
It's okay.
with me on the first day, I experienced a minor cough. I coughed maybe 3 times over the course of the day, and then the cough went away. And then the next day, I went to work because the cough was minor. I'm thinking maybe it's just allergies. because I wasn't like coughing all day. It was like I coughed maybe 3 times over 24 hours. So the next day, I went to work that morning at, I think I had to be at work at 8:30. In our office, it's always freezing. Everybody's wrapped in a sweater or a blanket,
Mm-hmm.
trying to keep warm. And I was sweating. I had taken my sweater off and I had on a short sleeve blouse. And where I'm usually freezing, I was sweating and fanning. And so that's when my supervisor said, "Are you hot?" And I said, "Yeah, I am." She said, "Go home."
Mm.
And so I came home and I called Mercy, and they said that they couldn't test me because I hadn't traveled out of the country. I hadn't been around anyone else who had traveled out of the country,
Mm.
and I didn't meet the criteria. So the next day, I was weak. I could barely stand up without holding on to anything. I had chills, and so then I called Mercy, and they were like, "If you come to the ER, we have to see what's wrong with you and treat you."
Oh
And
wow.
so I went to Mercy Hospital, and they checked me for the flu. They did a flu test,
Mm-hmm.
multiple strands of the flu, and every strand came back negative. So then the doctor came in and he said, "We're going to go ahead and test your swab for COVID because we tested you for everything and everything was negative." And then after
Wow.
that, my symptoms just stayed the same over the week. The malaise,
Mm-hmm.
the chills. Like I had to have someone to go buy me a heating blanket because I was that cold. I couldn't even warm up without the
Yeah.
heating blanket. And I couldn't hold down any food. I would vomit if I tried to eat food.
Mm.
I couldn't hold anything. And so my mother, she ended up buying a lot of organic juice,
Yeah.
fruits, uh, probiotic juice. My daughter gave me some vitamins,
Mm-hmm.
and my daughter also gave me a drink called kombucha.
Kombucha.
And,
Yeah.
and it didn't taste good. But what I will say, it was like God gave them the revelation of what to give me
Yeah.
because those were all the right things
So you're
to
telling me,
eat and drink.
that you were, so after you went to the hospital,
Mhm.
they diagnosed you or that you had contracted the
Mhm.
COVID-19 virus,
Right.
and they sent you home. So you didn't
Yes,
stay in the
they did.
hospital.
No, at that time they sent me home. And so, because basically they don't really have a treatment for COVID, they don't really have a medicine that they know for sure that works. So they basically told me to just take Tylenol and whatever cold or flu medicine that I wanted to take.
Wow.
So
So
I was,
go ahead.
but my condition did deteriorate, and that's what I was getting to.
Mm-hmm.
The chills and all of that started to go away after a week,
Okay.
but then came the cough, and the cough is treacherous, and
Man.
that's what led me back to the hospital. And when I went back to the hospital with the cough is when I was admitted.
So when you were admitted, how long were you in the hospital for?
Uh, they kept me overnight, and they wanted to keep me longer. Just kept me one night.
Only one night. Wow.
They wanted to keep me longer, but I chose to come home.
Gotcha.
Um, I I didn't feel comfortable in the hospital because I felt like most of the people that were in the hospital were dying,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt like once I was in the hospital, um, only the nurse came in the room. The doctor would only call me, and they told me they didn't have a magic pill to cure the cough, which was causing me to struggle to breathe and not sleep, and it was making me delirious because I hadn't slept for 3 days. And
Yeah.
I just felt like if you can't give me anything to help me, I would rather go home and continue with my family taking care of me because I felt like I was thriving at home.
Right.
At the hospital, with they had me on a heart monitor, oxygen, IV. So now I'm strapped to the bed. I can't move around. I can't get any fresh air. I can't even use the bathroom
Mm.
alone. You know, and I just felt like I was thriving better at home. So I asked the doctor, could I go home? And so they gave me antibiotics through the IV and fluids to help with dehydration, and they allowed me to come back home.
Now, when it comes to the when you got back home and with your family, I mean, before we go into what it was like after your, well, actually, before we go into what it was like when you got back home, did any of your other family members contract the virus? Have
No,
anybody else contracted it at all? And how were they able to maintain keeping an eye on you without actually contracting the virus? Because I know there's a lot of people that like to know about that
yeah.
too.
First of all, I had a lot of people praying for us, and specific prayers. Even considering that, praying that my caretakers didn't catch it. But what we did, we wore masks around the house. We bleached everything. I could lost my sense of smell and taste, so I couldn't smell,
So
and
that
I
is
was
true.
bleaching.
Loss of
Yeah.
smell and taste is actually
Oh,
true.
and that's another thing.
Mm.
With me losing my sense of smell, I was bleaching the whole house, and everybody else's nose was burning, and I couldn't even smell the bleach.
Wow.
So with us bleaching and sanitizing your doorknobs, your dresser drawer handles, your light switch, your thermostat, bleach everything, and we were able to not contaminate the house, and I was able to not pass it to my family, and no
Mm-hmm.
one else is sick.
Wow.
But that's another thing that people need to know. There are some asymptomatic people that are not coughing. They are not. Uh, they are not having a fever. But the only thing they have is loss of taste and smell,
Mm-hmm.
and they are passing the virus unknowingly.
Wow. Um, and I think, oh, I think we lost her. Oh, she's back. Um, and that's kind of wild too. I mean, let me. But of course, I got to ask you. Of course, when you got back home, I'm sure the experience was a lot different. And I know that a lot of people are asking, like, were you having any issues getting out of bed? Physically having a hard time just walking down to walking down to
Yes.
the bathroom, so on and so forth. You
The
know.
first week, I had to hold on to furniture and everything to make it to the bathroom. And then I was losing my balance. I almost fell a few times. You know, it was bad. I was just weak. And then what I did to try, once I started feeling better, I started going for walks outside to build my strength back up. And that's what helped me, with my balance because I was losing my balance and everything.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Um, so, of course, when did you start noticing, like, on the lighter side of things or on the better side of things? When did you start seeing that you were getting better? When was the moment that you realized you were coming around and getting back out
I,
of that dark tunnel?
I would say around day 10 is when the cough, it was horrible all day.
Mm.
And then around the evening, I sat on my couch
Hmm.
and I was just thinking, I can't go on like this. Like, how can I live like this another day?
Yeah.
And it was like out of nowhere, the cough just subsided. And
It just
it
stopped,
turned,
or
it kind of turned into like my regular asthma cough. And that's my underlying condition. I have asthma.
okay.
And so that's probably why the virus attacked me the way that it did. But I it was like in the middle of that day, on like day 10, my cough just subsided. and it turned into just my regular asthma cough that I'm used to.
Mm-hmm.
And I just start feeling better, and that's when I start being able to sleep at night. And then it literally took to probably day 14 when I really started to feel better. So it takes exactly about 2 weeks before you actually get better with this virus.
So so you just got to get through 2 weeks of serious, some serious ups and downs
Yeah,
for you to actually see you coming out of this situation,
yeah,
which is unbelievable. But I do have another question. Tom on Facebook asked this question, which is a really good question too. Obviously, after you've recovered, did they ask you to donate plasma after you recovered in order to treat future patients?
no, so far they haven't asked me. I've seen on the news where people are donating plasma and blood, and I'm willing to, but so far they haven't asked me.
And uh, how long have you been COVID free?
I came out of quarantine on Friday, I think, of last week. No, Thursday,
Okay,
because they say it's 14 days from the day of your test.
gotcha. Okay, so now that you've gotten through this, are you at all worried about maybe contracting it again?
Of course, I've Googled like everyone else and read everything that I can read about it.
Hmm.
And, you know, I just try to look at it as the way that we look at the flu and other different things. Typically, once you get it, you don't get it again right away. And I'm hoping that our bodies are going to respond to this in the same way that it responds to other things, and that the antibodies that we create, protect us from contracting this again. Because it's so bad that I couldn't even imagine going through this again anytime soon.
Yeah, I can only imagine because I mean, whew, there's a lot of people that are still right now on, that are intubated, that are on respirators, the whole nine. And thank God you didn't have to go through that kind of situation for yourself. That it didn't go down down that dark hole, that black hole, like a
Yeah.
lot of people that are going through it right now are
Oh, I
going
know.
through.
I know some personally.
Yeah. So, and also I'll say this too. You should, you should, I know that there's a lot of people that are kind of test shaming and making fun and all that, but at the same time, you should wear this as a badge of, a badge of triumph, because there's a lot of people that are trying to get through this, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
people that are scared. And
Yeah.
you are a face of somebody who has survived. You are a face of a survivor. And that's
Yeah.
what we need more than anything in the world. So
Absolutely.
I commend you so much for coming onto the show live and putting your face on camera to let people see physically that we can get through this. And
Yeah.
if you do contract it, that if you just fight and if
You
you keep your
can't.
family around you, you can get
And
through
that's
this.
another thing that I want to say. Chris Cuomo, I think is his name,
Mm-hmm.
who contracted it, and they had it in the news. They had him to describe the virus. If you can look at his video, he describes it exactly right. This is not a virus that you get and you get in the bed and you sleep it away. No, this is a virus that you get up and fight, because this virus is mean. And I literally had to tell myself, get up, don't die, don't give in. Even though you don't feel like standing up, stand up. Take a shower. Okay, you threw up all over yourself. Take another shower.
Mm-hmm.
Sit in a chair. Don't lay in the bed. Get up and get your strength again and walk again. Because this virus will take you down if you don't fight it. You have to fight this virus like the monster that it is. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot lay down with this virus and give in to it. And I
Absolutely.
think that's what helped me get through it, and that's what's going to help other people get through it. And I've even told my children, if you get this virus, don't lay down and give in to it. Get up and fight this virus, because it's mean.
Yeah. And it's true. And you truly are 110% a fighter. So I seriously am so thankful that you came in and came onto the show to talk about this. And like I said, there's a lot of people out there that are fighting that have gotten through it just like you. But there's a lot of people that are just getting through the first week of hell. And you're definitely a face, of surviving. So I really appreciate you coming onto the show. Thank you so much. All right.
No problem.
You stay healthy. All right. And I would love to check in with you later on.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
All right.
Bye. So like I said, everybody, there are people out there that are fighting every single day. She's a perfect example of triumph over all this situation, triumph over tragedy. We can get through this stuff and we can fight this disease and this virus without a doubt. We just got to stay close, stay healthy, and be with the people that love you. And we will get through this. So I hope that gave you guys a little glimmer of hope, because it sure as hell did for me. I'm going to go into a quick commercial break. This is the Pascal Show. Bye.
Pascal, you are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild.